Well, you may have heard that at the end of last week, a rating agency downgraded the credit of the United States of America once again because of all the turmoil in the Middle East. I think it didn't make much of an impact, but it may be a very big story. I'm not even sure. We're going to find out right now, though. Gerald Celente joins us. He's the publisher of the TrendsJournal. He's an expert in trends. And let's find out how this fits into the whole picture for the United States and where we're trending as a country. Gerald, welcome back to WRKO.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
So what happened last week exactly?
Well, the downgrade is just a continuation. We go back a year ago, as you mentioned, when Moody's downgraded or Fitch downgraded U.S. debt in August, and look at the great achievements that have been made in a year. How about nothing other than the debt increasing to $16 trillion? This is a global meltdown. And people just don't want to face it or put it together. I'm not being, hysterical about this. Just look at the facts. You look what's going on in China. The real estate boom is bust. You look at their numbers on imports and exports, they're down to 2009 levels. You look what's going on in Brazil and Australia. Their resources, their natural resources that they export to China are all way off. You look what's going on in Europe. If Europe and America doesn't buy, China doesn't make, Brazil, Australia, Bolivia, Chile, they don't export raw materials. This all tied together. And what's going on in Europe, which should be the big news, is that there's been a banking takeover. All of the nations, the sovereign nations' banking systems are now being put under the control of the Brussels banking system. It's all being centralized by the European Central Bank, which, by the way, the head of the European Central Bank, Mario Draghi. Mario Draghi, who's he? Well, he was the vice chairman of Goldman Sachs. So the Goldman Sachs gang's paws are all over the world. It's a banking takeover. This is the biggest bank robbery in world history. The banks are doing the robbing, and you just saw it happen again this past week when America's public enemy number one, Osama bin Bernanke, just announced more QE3, more keeping interest rates at near zero, so that when you put your money in the banks, you get nothing for your savings.
All right, hang on.
And you have to pay the bankers to take your money so they can keep using it.
Gerald Celente is our guest. You've woven some different themes in here, none of which we fully understand, so I just want to pick them apart a little bit. The credit downgrade is a bad thing for the U.S. or a good thing for the U.S.?
Well, it's terrible. Nobody wants our debt. That means they're going to keep printing more money and devaluing the dollar. Listen, gold prices are now over $1,770 an ounce. They shot up over $100 within no time, because they know what they're doing. The world banks are printing this digital money, not worth the paper it's not printed on, to keep the banking system alive. What do you think all this QE3 money goes to? You know where it goes to? It goes to the banks.
So the banks are precarious. The banks are getting ready. They're still in this condition where they could collapse at the slightest thing. Is that why you were talking about the South American losing their business if China and India stop buying? Is the whole thing still hanging by a thread?
Yes. And now when you look, again, all things are connected. Now you just saw Netanyahu, the prime minister from Israel, on the talk shows yesterday, talking more about these red lines and having to support an attack against Iran. You're watching what's going on in the Middle East as it's aflame. Something like this thrown on top of the financial conditions that already exist,
But
kiss it goodbye. You're going to see a collapse that no one has ever seen in modern history.
And is this because the powers that be want there to be a collapse? Is that good for somebody?
No, it's because the powers to be are a bunch of psychopaths and sociopaths. You know who these leaders are. And by the way, so I'm not. I began my career. I used to run political campaigns in Westchester County, the richest county in the United States. I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate. I was in D.C. for several years as a government affairs specialist. You know who these people are? These are the same people you couldn't stand in high school and college that wanted to be class president and head of the student council. They followed their career paths. These are the brown-nosers, the suck-ups, the overly ambitious, and the insincere. These are not bright people. They're still high school people that do not understand the consequences of their actions. And that's what's going on here. They keep making decisions that bring about consequences that are destructive.
So Ben Bernanke believes that QE3 is good for the economy, but QE3 is the opposite of what's good for the economy.
Precisely. And again, I'm not making this up. Wrong again, Ben is wrong again. This guy has been right on nothing. Go back to 2007 when the recession just began in November 2007. There's not going to be a recession. Go back to 2006. There's not going to be a mortgage problem or a real estate problem. We've never seen one nationally. Go back to 2008 when the recession began. There is no recession. The guy has been wrong continually.
And the problem is that they're trapped inside of a bubble belief system and maybe in a political paradigm that forces them to go along with that bubble belief system, even if evidence were to permeate their brains that it wasn't a good idea.
You nailed it.
Okay. So what do we do as individuals?
Well, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing this election. My motto is 40% or less. I would like to see 40% or less of the people to go out and vote. I'm not going to vote for a lesser of two evils. And I believe if less than 40% of the people vote, we could call this an illegitimate election. And we want a rerun. We want better candidates. I don't hang out with lesser of two evils. I don't go out with lesser of two evils. I don't do business with lesser of two evils. I'll be damned if I'm going to vote for a lesser of two evils to run my life and run my country. I've had enough of this Republican, Democrat, Bonanno, Gambino crime family running the show.
Interesting. All right. So can you link the you alluded to the violence in the Middle East. Is that connected to international banking monetary stuff?
Exactly. Because, they can, again, we wrote about, you've been seeing our TrendsJournal for years. We wrote about these things in history long before it happened. This has nothing to do with an Arab Spring, as they talked about. It's very simple. A lot of people have nothing, and very few have everything. You go back to Egypt. You know what? You know what the people are living on over there? I'd be between $4 and $10 a day. You go back to Tunisia, same deal. You have a crime family that's running the operation. When people lose everything and have nothing left to lose, they lose it. These aren't, we want democracy and voting rights. They could care if Mickey Mouse was in charge as long as they have food on the table, a roof over their house, a roof over their head, and clothes on their back. They don't have that.
So they are, one of the things I never understand about these people you're alluding to, people who run countries that have a lot of money and they won't share any of the money, why are they so stupid that they don't understand if you just took 20% of all those billions they're stealing or whatever and let some of it trickle down, that there'd be so much more money to be had?
Why doesn't a heroin addict or a coke addict or somebody ripped out on meth think about the consequences of what they're doing? They have no bounds or boundaries. You know why? They're money junkies. That's their high. They're money and power junkies. It's as simple as that.
I have this theory about the whole world. And so Gerald Celente is our guest. He's the publisher of the TrendsJournal. What's the website, by the way, people should go to, Gerald?
TrendsJournal.com. TrendsJournal.com.
Okay. My theory is that everybody's incompetent. The whole world is run on incompetence. Is that a fair way to look at things?
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. These are the exact same people you knew in high school and college. Did you see? I mean, I had to suffer through both of those conventions. To me, it was a halftime Super Bowl show and a mega church revival meeting. And I never saw this trip before. Have you ever heard wives talk about how wonderful their husbands are, how great they are, like Michelle and Ann talked about their guys? I always hear what a jerk guys are all the time. I watch these sitcoms because guys can't tie their shoes.
Yes.
You know, but these guys, they're princes of men. I'm telling you, it's all a show. It's a big high school assembly that's gone, unfortunately, into places of high position. I'm going to read to you a quote yesterday by Susan Rice. She's our UN representative, talking about Obama and how he's reacting to the crisis in the Middle East.
Okay.
Mr. Obama is incredibly calm, incredibly steady, incredibly measured, incredibly take it easy. You know, what are you talking about over here? These people haven't... Hey, I have a little quiz for everybody. Show me one thing that any administration has achieved great success on. The Iraq War? Oh, what a beauty. The Afghan War? Ah, what a winner. All of this economic stimulus? Oh, I remember. Didn't you say with the economic stimulus plan, when you got elected, Obama, we'd have 7.2% unemployment by 2010? And didn't, again, the wars that the other administration started, you name the policy, I can show you the failure.
Wow. That's pretty hard-hitting stuff. Cooksey, you have that, Earl Nightingale? We wanted to share a quote with you. Okay, listen to this, Gerald, okay? Gerald Celente is here.
And in this book, he says, the opposite of courage in our society is not cowardice. It is conformity. And there you have the trouble today. It's conformity, people acting like everyone else without knowing why, without knowing where they're going. Now think of it. In America right now, there are over 18 million people 65 years of age and older. And most of them are broke.
That was about 50 years ago. Anything changed, Gerald?
It's gotten worse, as I believe it. And I believe in courage as well, that point, because when people, to me, have courage, dignity, respect, and integrity and passion, they don't take this baloney from a bunch of losers that call themselves, I love this term, this is the new term that's changed over 50 years. Do you know who they are? Lawmakers. Just what we need. Lawmakers.
All right, Gerald, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about this. If you want to stay around, I don't know what your schedule's like. We'd love to have you
stay around a little longer.
Gerald Celente from TrendsJournal. Go to TrendsJournal.com. If you want to talk with Gerald, we'll do so in just a couple of minutes on 680 WRKO.
In a city of champions, we're celebrating 30-plus years of talk radio dominance. We are Boston. We are AM 680 WRKO.
The new looks of fall are here. And to celebrate, all Joseph A. Bank suits and sport coats are now buy one, get two free. That's every Joseph A. Bank suit and sport coat, excluding our new Works collection. Buy one at regular price, get two more of equal or lesser value free. That's 3 times the suit or sport coat you'll find anywhere else. Plus, all dress shirts and ties, or any sport shirts and pants, excluding our Works collection. Buy one at regular price, get another of equal or lesser value free. You won't find better quality and style anywhere else for the money. So buy one, get two free on every suit and sport coat in the store. Right now at Joseph A. Bank.
20 locations in Mansfield, Concord, Bellingham, Swampscott, Wellesley, Nashua, Mashpee, Northborough, Newport, and in Acton. Rate alert, rate alert, rates have just dropped. Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke has just implemented a dramatic decrease in rates. Calling now could also save you hundreds of thousands of dollars over the life of your loan, giving you more money for your retirement. Lock in your 15-year fixed rate of only 2.75% with an APR of 2.872%. You may never see rates this low again. So call now, 800-700-8068. Network Capital Funding Corporation is a direct lender and is committed to helping you with their quick and simple process. Since Network Capital Funding lends lends their own money, they can close your loan in as quickly as 10 days. Remember, rates change daily, so don't wait. Call 800-700-8068. Lock in your 15-year fixed-rate mortgage of only 2.75% with an APR of 2.872% today. Network Capital Funding Corporation is not licensed to do business in Rhode Island. Discount points apply, subject to credit approval and equal housing lender. Massachusetts lender license MC11712 and licensed by the New Hampshire Banking Department, NMLS number 11712.
Howie Carr, weekdays 3 to 7.
Tim, you're next with Howie Carr.
It's not about the video. I did see the video.
No,
there's more going on.
It's so disastrous. You know, the Arab Spring has become the Arab winter, and this is just terrible. And I mean, again, if the people of America are paying attention, this is another reason to not vote for Obama, because he was all over this. You know, just like he liked a year ago, he liked Occupy too. Let's not forget that. He liked Occupy Wall Street, just like Elizabeth Warren did.
AM 680 WRKO.
It is so good to be back.
Oh, yes, Boston, Rush Limbaugh at noon today, right here on AM 680 WRKO.
Gerald Celente with us from the Trends Journal, TrendsJournal.com. Your chance to talk with him, 617-266-6868. 617 writes, best guest ever. 781, I love this guy. Our feelings as well. John, good morning. You're on RKO with Gerald Celente.
Yeah, good morning, Gerald. Good morning, Todd.
Good morning, John.
Gerald, you were a huge part of my education and what's going on. I started off listening to you almost before anyone else. Now, I got two things for you. You said earlier that this isn't done on purpose, but at the same time, you said that it's a cartel and, we're getting ripped off here. So if we're getting ripped off, then it is on purpose because you follow the figures.
John, sorry you're breaking up on us, but I think we've got the gist. You want to know if this is on purpose.
Yeah, no, what I meant to say is the failure isn't being done on purpose. Yes, the manipulations are done on purpose, but it's not like, some people think, they crash this thing intentionally for different reasons. They're just a bunch of incompetents who see no end to getting all they want and wanting to get all they need, they think they need. So, yes, it's on one end, it is a planned thing when they come up with these programs like QE3 and all of these other money devaluation schemes.
But is Wall Street? Wall Street gets demonized. Is it Wall Street that's controlling these decisions and that's pulling the strings?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this is a matter of fact. In 2008, when Bush was president and they came out with the first TARP programs, this was unprecedented. It was we did a trend alert. We called it Wall Street has hijacked Washington. Again, when I talk about the Goldman Sachs gang, and let's just put the names together here. Who was the guy under Bill Clinton that deregulated the Glass-Steagall Act that allowed these banks to become casinos that gambled and lost all their money, and we had to back them?
That
could have been Robert Rubin, could it?
Right.
Right. And where was Robert Rubin from?
Goldman Sachs.
And who was the guy under Bush that was the Treasury Secretary? Paulson?
Yeah.
He couldn't have been the CEO of Goldman Sachs before he came there either, could he?
No, they never would have done two in a row like that.
No. And this guy, John the Slime Corzine, the head of MF Global, the guy that brought that down and never got prosecuted, never got called up on charges, and can't find, hey, man, I can't find $1.6 billion that we stole out of segregated accounts. He wasn't from Goldman Sachs either, was he?
Yeah, but we're going to fix all that because we have Elizabeth Warren running for Senate here in Massachusetts.
Yeah, right. So the point I'm going back to it was unprecedented that they came up with this term, too big to fail. They made the banks now bigger than they were before. You have 6 banks controlling 80% of all the action. It's a takeover. So I'm not saying this is, this is, hyperbole. It's fact. This is a country where all of us, everybody out there listening, we were told as little kids, you rise and fall on your own merits. Except if you're a member of the club or the gang. Then we bail you out.
John, you're back on WRKO. Let's see if we get a better connection with Gerald Celente. Hi, John.
Yeah, Gerald, the second part of my question to you was if you could explain to the audience about Obama going over while he was a senator to help his communist uncle Odinga in Kenya and when he didn't win, the revolution that happened in the streets there, because I'm wondering if that's not part of what's going on in the Middle East right now.
Well, I don't know anything about that, but what I do know is that, people call Obama a Marxist, a communist. I just went through the whole litany of the banks and all of these rescue plans and trillions, an estimated $23 trillion in money being dumped out into the system. The merger of state and corporate powers, by definition, is called fascism. It's a corporate takeover. Look, many of us are old enough when Walmarts didn't control the whole country, when big agriculture didn't control the whole country, when there was communications industry wasn't controlled by the whole country. So what I'm saying is it's the merger of state and corporate powers. This is not communism. It's fascism. You want the National Defense Authorization Act that could get guys like me locked up and you never hear from me again with no charges, no jury, no judge. And they could take you away. You want to talk about the Patriot Act. You want to talk about all the surveillance and wiretapping. You want to look what's going on, and you see how the cops keep beating down. Well, they arrest a 2-year-old kid. They find him in Philadelphia last week for peeing on a telephone pole.
Imagine. So does it matter who whether Obama wins or Romney wins? Does it make any difference?
Does it matter if the Gambinos or the Bananos are in charge?
Probably not.
It doesn't. It's more of the same. It's like voting for the president of the country club. Are they going to make the swimming pool bigger next year, or build more tennis courts?
All right, Gerald Celente. Any closing thought you want to share with us?
Yes, it's up to the people, and that clip that you played about courage to stand up. Show your dignity. This is your country. These other people aren't better than we are. But when you see those shows they put up on how wonderful they are, which they call the conventions, they make you think that they're better than we are. So just to make it really clear, let's just call it even. Their mother's not better than mine.
Gerald Celente, publisher of the Trends Journal. It's trendsjournal.com. Thanks for spending so much time with us. It was great fun.
Thank you for having me.
All righty.